Welcome back to the Sports Beat, ladies and gentlemen. We're joined by Dan Cleary. You see him here on the Games of the Week. You see him here on the Sports Beat right here on Service Electric Cable TV Channel 10 and Bugs Media. Dan, let's talk about the realignment for the winter sports season. How's it looking first for basketball?
Well, basketball is going to follow the same format as soccer and field hockey did in the fall. So basically, just for a quick reminder, the American and National Division will combine and play a round robin. For basketball, the girls will play 13 games, the boys will play 14. That's because Del Barton's a boys' school, so the boys have that extra game. So it kind of puts the teams in a spot where they're going to have to pick up a lot of independents. For years with the SCIL, you were locked into 18 league games. You picked up 2 independents. You played your Christmas tournament, the county tournament, and then you went into states. So the league, the state maximum, you have different options of how many games you can get. My understanding, most of the schools up here will go for the option of 20 regular season games and 2 tournaments. So that means the teams in the American and National have to pick up 6 independents. And just talking to coaches, in the off season, that's been somewhat of an issue because the realignment came upon them pretty quick. So schools such as Sparta boys will play Pope John boys twice, but only one of the games will count towards the division. So if that makes any sense to you, they'll play them twice because it was a tough time picking up independents. So that'll happen. High Point will be doing that with the Sparta girls. So some of the bigger schools did that to pick up some games, and also some of the teams from the American and National Division, the bigger schools, will play some of these smaller schools in independents. Like High Point girls, for example, will play Jefferson's girls, will play Walk Hills girls, which will be very good games. Sparta will continue to play Jefferson, which is a great rivalry with Fred Gefkin and Jim O'Connor. And then the Freedom Division, which is the smaller SCIL schools, former SCIL schools, plus Hackettstown, they will play a 12-division schedule plus 2 mandatory randomly drawn crossover games. So, for example, Newton boys will play Butler, and they will also play Morris Catholic. It won't count towards the division title, but it's built into their schedule, so they'll have 14 games, but only 12 of those games will count towards the division. So you follow me so far?
Not really, but that's okay. I'm sure the audience does.
So that's what the Freedom Division's doing. So that's what's going on for basketball. So the teams need to pick up 6 independents to get to that 20-game limit, and you can't play more than 26 games. So for years, the schedule was fairly easy. You just did the 18 SCIL. It's a little bit different this year. It could be a little confusing when you see some of the bigger schools playing each other twice. Which one counts, which one doesn't.
Like a Sparta Pope John. One of them's going to count, one of them's not going to count.
Exactly. The first one will count. They can't pick which one they pick.
Okay, right.
Because both teams, if you split, that one counts.
Yeah,
so
right, exactly.
It's going to be the first time they see each other. That's the one that counts. And teams like Vernon, boys, they've opted not to play anyone from outside the area except for Pope John, Sparta, and High Point in their division. Matt Ferguson's picked up Dickinson in Jersey City. They're playing Warwick. So they won't have that local flavor that they've had in the past. So basically basketball, same as soccer and field hockey, plus the 100 and Warren Sussex tournament will be towards the end of February, right around the time the SCIL Festival used to be. And the only wrinkle there is that everyone that's in the county is eligible to be in the tournament and will play in the tournament. In the years past, only the top 8 teams made it from the SCIL. So everyone's going to get a county tournament as well. So that's how that's going to shake out for hoops.
How about wrestling, Dan?
Wrestling's a little bit different. They split the American and national teams are split into 2 divisions, one of 7, one of 8. The top division has High Point, has Mendham, has Pope John, has Sparta, Vernon, Roxbury, and Randolph, I believe. So they'll play each other once, so that'd be 6 matches for your division title. The rest of the matches that the teams pick up will all be independents. We're here at High Point, the great tradition they have at Kittatinny. It's still alive, folks. Don't worry. They're going to wrestle each other this year. That's a matchup that, as long as John Gardner and John Gill are still coaching, I believe they're going to have. Johnny Gardner also told us they're going to pick up Newton, who's a Freedom Division team.
That's a good team to wrestle for them.
That's how they're going to work with those. The Freedom Division is the teams we mentioned, Hackettstown plus the former SCIL schools. They'll play each other once for a 6-match division. Then everyone will pick up independents as well. Plus, from my understanding, the smaller schools will also have mandatory crossover matches with some of the smaller schools, so we'll see how that shakes out as well. And those smaller schools are like Butler, Pequannock, Morris Catholic, and the such.
Can you give us a scoop on swimming?
Swimming, basically, they changed the names, but it's the same for the SCIL. They have a Northern Division and Southern 1 and Southern 2. The Southern 1 and 2 are made up of all the Morris County schools. The Northern Division is basically the old SCIL. Everyone's going to swim at Kittatinny and Sussex Tech. Because of the lack of facilities, they had to do that with swimming. So the swimming is basically the same. It's the old SCIL. It's just going to be called the Northern Division. And with swimming, they're going to have the 100 and Warren Sussex tournament plus an NJAC tournament, where all 37, 38 schools will compete plus the Hunter and Warren tournament and Sussex tournament. So swimming will have 2 tournaments like they did in the fall for cross country. Cross country had a Hunter and Warren Sussex tournament plus an NJAC race as well. Swimming will be the same way. So swimming, different names, same teams.
And what about bowling?
Bowling's almost the same thing because of the facilities. Everyone will still be at Sparta Lanes. It's the same teams that would be bowling in the Northern Division, except Jefferson has been bumped down to the Southern Division. Jefferson obviously was a part of the SEIL for years, but it's the same teams from Sussex going against each other, except for Pope John doesn't have a team. So those teams will be there, and bowling's already started already. So, but it's pretty much the same, just a different name for bowling.
Now, one final thought. You talk to some coaches. A lot of them are confused about what's going on here, right? I mean, it's new
confusing.
and it's kind of tough to get a handle on it, right?
It's going to take a while for everyone to get used to it.
Sure.
You know, we just got through the fall season. You know, talking to the coaches, their biggest concerns were the travel at night because of the night games.
Yeah.
And there was talk of starting games at 4 o'clock. The schedules I have seen, that's not the case. There's a lot of Saturday games that start at 1. That'll be a help. But for during the week, from my understanding, most of the activities will all start at 7 unless the ADs beforehand change up. So, and we also tell everyone, keep an eye on the schedule because some of the schools might double up with a boy-girl doubleheader to cut down on travel. That's an option they have. So just, you know, always check with your schools before you head down to a game or check the highschoolsports.net website to see the schedules. But the winter is going to be interesting because the fall, you had sunlight, the travel was during the afternoon. Now here's the big test. You know, we always talk.
Right, it's not like a Saturday football game where you don't care what time you get home, or a Friday night football game. You're talking a Tuesday night, a Thursday night, you know, and your kid's getting home at midnight, and you know, having to do homework.
And the weather's an issue.
Right,
It's raining in Morristown, snow up here in Wantage.
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
So we're going to see what happens. And I'm also hearing through the grapevine that there is talk that they're thinking about realigning some of the divisions already for next year. You know, they looked at what happened in the fall, and they're going to check out what happens this winter. So it's an ever-evolving process. So nothing's written in stone, and that's the one good thing about the ADs in this NJAC. You know, they might have their differences on things, but they're willing to sit down and hash things out. And they're not sad. They won't be satisfied until they get it right. And it's my understanding that they've had a couple meetings already about next year. And so all these divisions we talked about could be different next year, but I think it's the same 37, 38 schools will also be part of the NJAC. What division they're in could change next year.
Great job. He knows it all, my friend. I don't know how he does, but he does. Dan Cleary, great member of the Mugs Media team. We have more to come on the Sports Beat, ladies and gentlemen. Right now we have for you a commercial timeout.